Money Smart for Young People provides a comprehensive, developmentally appropriate program for young students to build an understanding of key financial concepts. There are many features that help make the Money Smart curriculum engaging, motivating, and easy to use. Each lesson includes learning objectives, essential questions, needed supplies, and the required preparation, as well as features and components to support easy integration of Money Smart activities into your instructional day.
Let's take a practical look at how to facilitate a lesson for students in grades 3 to 5. We'll demonstrate the activities found in Lesson 2, Get Set for Goals. In this lesson, you'll focus on short and long-term goals as they relate to saving with real-world examples. Students then set their own savings goals, and they'll also explore factors such as advertising and peer pressure that might influence their decisions to spend or save money.
The overview page contains a snapshot of the entire lesson and identifies where to locate the answer key, key terms, and standards connections. Each lesson follows this common format, so let's take a look at it. The overall topic is listed along with subject connections. Some school districts have a standalone financial literacy course, and others embed financial education into other curriculum areas. The time required for this lesson is 60 minutes, but time requirements will vary with classroom learning levels and depth of topic exploration. The learning objectives and essential questions are listed to identify the concepts that will be covered. A supply and preparation list is also provided to assist in planning for the lesson. In this lesson, you will need a projector for the teacher's slides and access to the internet.
Let's start this lesson with a 15-minute warm-up session that begins by discussing with the class exactly what a goal is and the difference between short-term and long-term goals. Then have the students brainstorm to come up with examples of both short and long-term goals. As they do, write them on a T-chart at the front of the room where they all can see the lists. Next, pass out the short and long-term goals handout to provide real-world examples. Then give the students the "What are your goals?" sheet and have them write some of their own goals into the correct columns on the handout. To help get them started, you might prompt them to think about short and long-term goals in school, at home, and in life. You also may decide to have them work with a partner to help them brainstorm ideas, but be sure that they're each filling out their own goals. Once they've completed their lists, ask several students to share some of their goals. After this activity is completed, it may be a good time to review the short and long-term goals together as a class.
To simplify this exercise, have students focus on goals in the classroom or at school. Or, to make it more challenging, ask students to set more goals and track their progress, weekly or monthly, to see what goals they've met.
The next step in the lesson is guided exploration, which should take about 30 minutes and focuses on developing ways to set goals for savings. Using the slides that are included in the materials, start by displaying the Spend or Save slide and ask students about their spending and saving habits. Also, using this slide, create a bar graph to see how many students are spenders, savers, or a combination of the two. Then ask the students, "What is a savings goal?" and lead them in a discussion about how short and long-term goals might relate to savings. For example, saving to buy an ice cream at the end of the week is a short-term goal, and saving enough money to buy a bicycle at the end of the year is a long-term goal. Explain how setting savings goals will help them manage their money.
Next, give students the Saving Together handout, which demonstrates a real-world example of children setting savings goals. After your students have completed the questions, which include math problems, review the sheet as a class. You may then want to go to the Story Problems Savings Goal slides, Challenge 1 or 2, that feature 2 more real-life math word problems about savings goals. This lesson can easily be modified for different grade levels. For lower grades or beginners, you may want to ask students to draw pictures to help them solve the math problem and then explain how they solved it. For advanced students or higher grades, have students show their math calculations and explain how they solved the problem. For Challenge 2, you might ask, How long will it take Sam to save enough money for the basketball if he made $4 a week instead of $3 feeding cats for 4 weeks?
Before wrapping up this exercise, show the How to Set Goals slide, which demonstrates ways to set goals, and discuss it with the class. Then review again the difference between short-term and long-term savings goals. Give the students the My Savings Goals handout to use in setting their own goals. As they start this exercise, you may want to give them the following tip.
Before you set a savings goal, ask yourself, is what I want to buy worth the money? Did I give myself enough time to save for it?
You may want to extend the lesson by asking your students a few questions to help them realize what some of the things are that might influence their decision to spend or save money.
Do you ever want something just because other kids have it? What is the purpose of advertising? And how does advertising influence your decisions to spend or save money?
Have students brainstorm places they can find advertising.
I see ads in magazines all the time.
Definitely in commercials.
And in stores.
On TV and the radio.
Billboards.
Some websites.
Sometimes on buses and cars and in the metro station.
Those are all great answers. How much would you say those ads influence your decision to buy something? How about peer pressure? Does what your friends or other kids buy affect your decision whether to spend or save your money?
Wrap up the lesson by discussing why it's important to set goals and how they might feel when they reach their goals.
As you'll see in the instructor guide, there are also several activities that you can use to extend this lesson throughout the year. These can be completed as a class or in small groups. The timing for each of these activities will vary. These activities may involve having your students think about and listing the steps that are required to reach the savings goals that they've identified. For younger students, you may want to have them just choose one goal to focus on, and then list the steps to meet it.
Other activities focus on educating students about advertising and how companies use ads to try to influence how people spend their money. These activities include using an online game and visiting the PBS website. Thank you again for your interest in Money Smart for Young People. To learn more about the FDIC's free resources for educators, visit www.fdic.gov/teachers.